Hi, everybody. Um, Welcome to my artist talk where I'd like to record um, just some things about me and my art, um, just so you can get to know me and what it is that I do. And hopefully, um, you're inspired by my talk or you like it. And hopefully, it leads to maybe a commission um, or even just for fun, just to get to know me. Um, I sent out Instagram and Facebook question, and send me your questions so I can answer them. And so here I am. Um, I'm gonna make one of these in English, and then I'm gonna do it again in Spanish. Sorry if my Spanish isn't great, but I'm gonna do my best. And I'm just gonna walk through the questions that you guys had. It's been about 7 years since I started painting and drawing and getting taking art as a serious form of a profession. Um, so without further ado, here we go. What inspires you the most? I had the most questions about inspiration. They asked me what do you inspire the most? What is the most inspiring thing to you? And for me, it's so many things. In my sketchbook, I try to do a daily sketch of anything random that kind of touches me. For example, I drew my boots the other day. I did a caterpillar machine. I did a caterpillar machine. You can see here in the background. Um, just anything that I come across during my day that I find interesting, I'll go ahead and sketch it. And I've been doing a lot of sketches in pen because you can't erase it. You got to go with it. You got to keep going and you got to do your best. And I find that it's, it feels more like, I don't know what the right word is. It feels more dangerous. It feels more, um, I don't know if authentic is a word, but it's, it kind of gives you the adrenaline to, to, to really get after it, to really go after what you're going for, to try and capture the likeness of the item or items that you're trying to draw. I got a quote here about Mexico because I spend most of my time in Mexico painting. Mexico is a feast for the eyes of an artist. Io Habel said that, and I find that to be true. Mexico is so beautiful. There are cerros, there are mountains, there are plazas, there are churches. There's just all sorts of things that you can just get into, and it inspires me a lot to be in Mexico. You see right here, I have a Cerro del Pinal, which is a mountain that's near my hometown of Encibero. There's one right there that's gonna be delivered to a client soon. Um, and the Cerro, the mountain, at different times of the day, it has different colors on it, and the shadows from the clouds and the sun hitting it at a sunset or something makes it turn red. It's really beautiful. It's gorgeous. If I think I've drawn the Cerro de Pinar like 6 times, 6 or 7 times actually, um, and I don't get tired of it. It's so gorgeous. It's so beautiful. Um, I'm also inspired by what other people bring me to as a commission. I can sense when somebody loves somebody or something, um, and it just inspires me that you would think of me to try and capture this for you in a piece of art. It seems like it's like kind of plain or both, or just too, what's the word? Um, like without imagination, painting a portrait or a landscape, but they're the things that inspire me the most, especially when it's somebody's house or somebody's store or something that's important to somebody. It really, I get to share in that love. I feel like I just love it. It's just great. Another thing that inspires me or that gets me going is when I get a positive reaction from a client or from somebody who has asked me to draw or paint them a piece of art. I've had people say that, when they turn the piece into whoever it was meant for as a gift, that they started crying, or like it makes my day. I love it so much. Another thing that sort of inspires me is Catholic reproductions. I really love, because here in Mexico, everybody loves Catholic, and everybody wishes they had one of them in their home. So I've had quite a few Catholic reproductions, and I love doing them. Next question: what is your perfect day? Well, I wake up. We have brunch at Villanueva, which is a local municipality. Either mariscos, menudo, or tamales. Then come back home, paint on the project that I'm working on. Get a new commission. Getting a new commission is always fun. You get to start over fresh, a brand new sort of piece, and you get to wrestle with it and do what you can with it. Also, on a good day, I'd go to mass, go to church. I find that grounds me. On a perfect day, I would also finish a project and present it to the client. I love those moments, like I've said before. And then in the evening, we go to Tayawa to eat tacos or hamburgers or just whatever we can find. Tayawa is a local town that's next to us, and it's a decent size. Um, and then um, and then in the evening, I would spend my time painting. That's mostly when I get inspired to paint, is at night. I'm sort of a night owl, and I find that it gets me into the flow state very quickly, and I'm able to fall asleep like a baby after good nights of painting. Whenever I kind of progress or find that I'm trekking forward in a project, I really enjoy it. It's one of my favorite things to see is the piece coming together. What is your fondest memory? My fondest memory by far is, I think I was in 4th or 5th grade, and we had art class. It wasn't a separate teacher. It was the same teacher for the entire day, but they taught us art. And I remember seeing, the teacher was talking about Michelangelo and the Pieta, or the scene where Mary is holding Jesus Christ after the crucifixion. And I remember being just totally blown away at the fact that Michelangelo did this piece at 18 or 19 years old. I couldn't believe it. I was just totally taken aback. And I remember it made such an impression on me. I thought, man, this guy's a badass. It's so cool that he gets to do, or that he was able to do this at such a young age. Well, I had a full circle moment when I went to Italy, and I was lucky enough to travel to Italy, and I went into St. Peter's Basilica in the Vatican. And as soon as I walked in, I turned to the right and I saw that sculpture that I saw in 5th grade. and I was told my breath was totally taken away from me. I I I thought it was the most beautiful thing I've ever seen, and I remember that moment was so pivotal for me because it just kind of cemented what art would mean to me. I didn't start painting for another 2 or 3 years after that, but I remember it being such a powerful moment for me, where art was at the center of it. When did you know that art was your calling or passion? When did you say to yourself, "I really like this"? I feel like I've always known this, um, but some sort of like trail, like I'm on the trail. Um, I found just little clues throughout my life that just kind of pushed me into this direction. Um, so I feel like I've always known in some way, but I got distracted by other things in life, and and so it didn't hit me until I was much later in life. I remember I used to meditate a lot, and I used to get answers from meditating. I would go to get into a meditation and then just kind of ask myself like, what do you think about this, or what do you need now, or what's next in this phase of life? And I remember I asked myself, what am I supposed to do? What's my calling, or what's my vocation? And I remember right after I asked that, I had an image pop up in my mind of an old man painting in a landscape, painting outside, painting outdoors, and and I remember I was. It wasn't totally shocking, but I do feel like it was pivotal in kind of solidifying my plan or my direction in life. Um, I remember also um, I was in a tutoring program in Chicago, and my last year of tutoring, I was tutoring a young boy who loved art. He loved to draw, and what I got from the program director was he draws too much. He doesn't pay attention in class, and you got to kind of get him to focus again. And and I remember talking to the boy, and I told him, I used to love painting or drawing when I was little too. I wanted to be an artist. And he goes, "Why didn't you do it?" And I remember I was just like shocked. I was like, "Wow, I can't answer this question. He's so right. Why didn't I do it?" And I remember that was one moment too that where a clue kind of came into place, and I felt like it was God kind of guiding me into the right direction. Also, as a child in like the third grade, I remember I made a watercolor in class of a lighthouse, and I remember looking at it and looking at the sky and the lighthouse with the shadows and stuff. And it was really simple. It wasn't anything too intense, but I remember thinking it was so gorgeous, so beautiful, and I remember I was taken aback by the piece of art that I had done. So that was another moment where I really enjoyed it, and I really thought that, well, looking back on it now, I should have known that was my calling. I also had another moment where I drew something for the class or in class or something, and I remember I got kind of a little bit of a reaction from the class. And then we got in line to go to recess or something, or to lunch. And I remember this girl that I had a crush on asked me, "Are you going to be an artist when you grow up?" And I just said, "I don't know." But I remember I should have taken that as a as another clue. This is the direction you got to go in. When did you realize art was important to you? Um, Again, Michelangelo, the statue of Michelangelo at the Pieta. Looking back at hints on the trail, just different clues that got dropped, and my reactions to my art. Okay, and at what age did you start drawing and painting? In third or fourth grade, I remember doing the watercolor in class. I remember I always liked to doodle at home too, and draw cartoons, or like Bugs Bunny or Mickey Mouse or things like that. I loved X-Men to animation, the X-Men animation on Saturday mornings. I thought that was the coolest thing ever, and I love their comic books too. What's the hardest part about being an artist? Well, I find there's this pressure to be perfect, but also I think it's also important to embrace imperfections and be authentic to your where you're at with your art. Yeah, the pressure to be perfect is kind of it can cause some what do you say? Sometimes when you don't feel like doing art, it's because you're procrastinating because of that pressure to be perfect, and I have to kind of remind myself to just keep going with the progress, with the process. It'll all turn out fine, and so far that's sort of what I've been holding on to. Has painting helped you during difficult times? Oh yeah, especially more recently, I've been able to kind of get into a flow state with my art, and that makes me really happy. I find that I'm in a much better mood if I'm having a bad day. If I get myself into art, it can usually kind of wipe that away pretty quickly. I also enjoy looking at my Instagram posts from different paintings that I've done in the past, and just looking at them and just admiring them. It sounds kind of arrogant, but I find that it's so inspiring to see the art that I've created, because I surprise myself sometimes when something turns out better than I expected, and it's beautiful. Sometimes I even think I'd like to buy back my art that I've sold off, or that I would like to just kind of keep all my art for me, but that'd be a little bit. I think that's probably more arrogant than the other thing I said. All right, and then the final question is Eminem, a guest in the House of Hip Hop. Eminem is the owner of the House of Hip Hop. All right, that's all, guys. Thanks for tuning in. I hope I answered a lot of your questions, and I'm going to do another one in Spanish, so stay tuned if you want to see the other version of this. All right, thanks, guys. Bye.